Hi guys! Okay, so I had to kind of redo this because basically I forgot to film the end of my video before I washed my face. Anyways, I think it's good that I had to kind of redo this. I'm not redoing everything. I'm just kind of putting on the foundation again and then gonna wear it for a couple hours and show you guys what's going on with it. I don't know if I'm going to do hourly updates or just an update at the end, how long it wore. So right now it is 6:40. You guys can see there. One thing, it's the best thing that I think it's really good that I got to redo this, because one thing you guys must know is do not powder your face. I don't care how greasy you are. I am a complete grease ball within a few hours and I can't powder my face. I barely got some product on my kabuki brush, barely tapped in any product at all. I mostly used whatever was like kind of already on there, what product or translucent powder was already on there. I used a translucent powder and I still looked cakey the first time I did the review video, or tried to do it because I didn't finish it. So I barely tapped any product, barely put it a tiny bit on my forehead and right here on the inner part of my cheeks, because that's the parts that get really greasy really fast, but everything else I left with no powder, just my bronzer and blush, nothing else, because it looks very cakey and just not cute. Yes, it is a very kind of dry matte formula, so you don't need powder. You'll probably need it later to touch up, or for the first application, just kind of like don't use it to set your foundation basically. So yeah, I will check back with you. I don't know how long, when I'm going to check back in, honestly. I'll probably just do it, since I did do kind of the first, hourly check-ins first. And the first time I did the video, I might just do an overall check-in at the end of the day after maybe like 7 or 8 hours. I don't know, because I'm going to go out tonight, so I'm probably going to redo my makeup later. So I will check back with you guys and let you know what I think. Okay, now I'm a little wary about it because I had a Givenchy foundation that said the same thing as this, and I ended up returning it because it says you have to reapply it every 2 hours. Whoa! I almost dropped that, and it's made out of glass. Okay. So on the back it says, for sunscreen use, shake well, apply liberally 15 minutes before sun exposure, because it does have SPF 20 sunscreen. I think it's kind of like, it seems like it's made for like sun protection, because it keeps saying like a lot of like sun protection stuff, whatever. Apply 15 minutes before sun exposure, reapply at least every 2 hours. I'm not gonna do that, so instead of returning this, I am gonna give it, a full-on review without reapplying it, because that's just ridiculous. Use a water-resistant sunscreen if swimming or sweating. It says lasting silk, so I'm just going to test out if it's long-lasting. So I'm just going to shake it up real quick. And as usual, I'm going to use a damp beauty blender to blend it out. And I can really show you guys if it like really helps with coverage, because I do have a pimple right here. It's going away, and I have another one right here. And I tend to have a lot of discoloration around my chin. So you guys will be able to see how good it covers. It is a little light for me. I usually mix it with another foundation, but since I'm doing a review, that's kind of cheating. Whoa, it smells a lot of alcohol. Do they have alcohol? It has alcohol, great. I don't really like alcohol in my foundations, but whatever. I ended up returning a foundation that had alcohol in it, but a lot of matte foundations tend to have alcohol denatured whatever in it. Not the best ingredient to have in your foundation, but whatever, because it really dries it out. you guys can see, I mean, it does have a matte finish. It does have pretty good coverage. You guys can put more, apply more if you guys want a more full coverage. I think it has pretty medium coverage because there are some spots when, after I apply the first layer, there are spots that still need a little bit of touching up. So overall, it has pretty good coverage. It did seem to hide, I mean, you can still kind of see it, but I'm okay with it being more faint. I don't want to like completely cover it up and it looks all cakey. I don't really like that. But overall, it pretty much covered up any discoloration, redness on my nose, this little pimple. I feel like it's more like the shadow that you can see, but overall, it has pretty good coverage. Okay, so if you guys have, if you guys don't like a super matte finish, I don't recommend using a powder because I use the powder and I am like uber matte right now. I wonder if I can like zoom you guys in. Don't worry, I'll zoom you guys back out. But you guys, I don't know if you guys can see, I look like uber matte right now because I used a powder. I don't want to like, you guys can see. I mostly did that because I know by the time I get to my dad's house, I'm gonna be somewhat shiny. So I know I look super matte right now, but I feel like the longer I wear it, the more, you know, in the middle time, I'm like natural, you know, somewhat of a dewy finish, and then by the end of the day, I'm a grease ball. So hopefully that doesn't happen, because that was kind of the point of buying this foundation. I want it to last and not get too oily too quickly. The Lancome one, that one is a great foundation for oily skin, if you guys don't know already. You guys should check out the review for that one. That one's great. So I don't know how this one's gonna turn out. I've used it once. Seemed okay. I didn't really like pay attention to it too much what the lasting power it is. Like I said, it's a little lighter for my skin. I feel like I look super pale right now. But it's also probably the camera and the lighting. I really don't look this white. I'm like looking at myself in the mirror and then looking at myself in the camera and I feel like I look super pale right there. I'm not really that pale. I will switch over to the natural lighting for like updates for the review and my final thoughts. Okay, not sure why my camera just cut off, but it is about 12:21. Earlier when I filmed it was about 6:40, 6:50, so it's been about 5.5 hours. So right now, as usual, my forehead looks shiny. It is hot as hell outside, so typical. I've been running a lot of errands, so I've had to walk outside a little bit. Kind of right here, my inner part of my cheeks are a little shiny. My cheeks look kind of shiny, but I think it's also mixed in with the blush because the blush is very shimmery. I'm wearing, if you guys know, Warm Soul by MAC, so that is a mineralized blush with a lot of shimmer. So that's probably why the cheeks are super shiny. But my skin is just kind of shiny in general, which is normal for me. I am going to apply a little bit of powder just to mattify. And I'll probably check in within like 2 or 3 hours just to give you my overall thoughts of it. This is how it's held up so far. It's kind of a typical foundation for me. I'm currently not loving this foundation, so I don't know if I'm going to keep it. For right now, I really don't like the fact that it looks super cakey when you apply it and then it just doesn't even hold up. I feel like the Lancome one is a way better deal, and this one does not hold up my skin for like the oiliness part. It just doesn't like stop the oiliness at all. I feel like my skin gets really oily pretty quickly. I mean, I've worn every foundation out in the sun. It's hot, temperature hasn't changed, so right now, just for $65, I'm not loving this foundation. So we'll see how it turns out at the end. I'm gonna apply a little bit of powder just to set my forehead and just like the inner part of my cheeks, and then I will check back with you guys. Hey guys, so I'm just checking in again. It's been about 2 more hours, so it is 2:22 right now. Let's see. It still looks pretty much dewy, kind of like, looks kind of, it depends. For someone that doesn't know what the finish of the foundation is, it would probably look dewy to other people. To me, it just looks oily because I have oily skin, obviously. So, yeah, I feel like this didn't really hold up. It's only been about 7.5 hours, and I am like pretty oily for a foundation that costs like 62 bucks. So, on a scale of like 1 to 10, I think I'd have to give this like a 3, maybe a 4, 3.5. I don't know. I just didn't like it. I'm gonna return it. First of all, it just smells so strongly of alcohol when you first apply it. Second, it looks really cakey when you apply it, just to me, and I didn't even apply like a thick layer. I just feel like it looks really cakey, and then later it doesn't even hold off your oil. Okay, so final thoughts. I really didn't like this foundation just because of how expensive it is. I really expected more out of this. Yeah, it has sunscreen, but it doesn't last. It's almost like an oxymoron because it says lasting silk UV foundation, but it asks you to reapply it every 2 hours, which is kind of pathetic, especially for something so expensive. So I mean, if you want to apply it every 2 hours, you're gonna run out of this pretty quickly. If you guys want a good foundation that's long wearing, matte, and great for oily skin, I would rather go with the Lancome Teint Idole foundation. I really like that one. It's really long wearing. Like I fell asleep with it on, and even the next day I felt like it looked pretty darn good. And this one, it looks terrible when you first apply it. It looks ridiculously cakey in some areas. It is more full coverage, but it just doesn't look good. I feel like after a while it looks good. It kind of sets into the skin, but if you look really close, it looks like it's still like just caked on top. But I feel like it looks better later because it kind of wears off. I do tend to touch my face a little bit too much than I should, but I've noticed like my chin is what I like to cover the most, but I don't like it to look cakey, and it looked ridiculously cakey when I first applied the foundation, and now it looks just like back to almost normal skin where it's all kind of uneven discoloration, whatever you want to call it. So it's not really that it looks more natural over time, it's just that it starts to kind of wear off. So it does transfer, I feel like. I don't think the Lancome one does that as much. For the price point, might as well go with the drugstore one. This is just not, it didn't live up to par to me. So I'm gonna say a big no for this one. Big dud, don't recommend it. That's my final thoughts. So I wore this for about 7.5 hours today, so this is kind of what it ended up looking like, in case you guys were curious how long I wore it for. Yeah, if you guys have any other ones you want me to review, or any products in general that you want me to try out and review for you guys, just leave it in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe, and check out my other videos, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye. Oil. Let's start over.
Spray for blonde and highlighted hair.
So yeah. And like all the other foundations, the high-end ones at least, it has a little paper. Does anybody actually read this?